Welcome back to the Coca-Cola World Sevens, and our next game, one of the real chances in this year's competition. The Newcastle Knights take on New Zealand. Looking through the Novocastrian lineup, the Johns boys do stand out, but the likes of Ainscough and Robbie O'Davis really give them a great strike power. Not known about New Zealand, they're always pretty big side. Have a look at the number 2, Billy Wupu. We'll see how they fare. We now go back to Andrew Voss.
New Zealand to kick off, running from right to left. They black their jumpers. Sean Hampstead, the referee. We're underway, so 14 minutes ahead of us. This kick-off taken by Andrew Tangata-Toa, who played in Newcastle's premiership-winning reserve grade side last year, and one of his teammates able to pick up from the kick-off. John Carlaw automatically made ground, but also went over the sideline.
That's an awful start from Carlaw and for the Newcastle team. Before a tackle's completed, they've handed over possession. Tried to get on the outside there, but too close to the sideline, and I think their coach would be very impressed with that effort at all.
Now the pressure goes on Newcastle.
Straight up, some big boys in this New Zealand side. There's a good two-man tackle. Johns came over the top with an assist. Darren Tracy did the majority of the work that time on Denny Lima. As they go across field, only one man posted on the left-hand side. That's Alec Chan. Tackled 20 metres out from the line and spun down, getting the man to ground in the tackle. Just slows it up a little for the play the ball, means he has to regain his feet. Now across through Steve Berryman, away to the number 3, that is Lima. Then on the outside, the ball came to Dean Johnson, almost around the outside of his man Carlaw, but taken to ground 10 metres out from the Knights line. The ball now with Darren Ramika. Up to the line he goes, up to the line and through, with barely a hand laid on him. Darren Ramika, he is a back rower. He strode through like a centre three-quarter.
And again, we come back to the fact that Newcastle handed over possession in their own half of the field. Within 6 tackles, New Zealand have posted the first points. A grab in defence there. Very unusual to see a Newcastle defender grab. It was Darren Tracy, one of their better players in the back row last year.
Well, Ramika looks very powerfully built, and he strode through a hole there, and way to put the possession factor again, and I'm sure Malcolm really be very disappointed with the start of this game.
Version successful, so New Zealand turned 4 points into 6 straight from the kick-off. Almost a try around the outside. Alec Chan, just for a moment, was prepared to let the attacking player get on the outside. So Newcastle fed through Johns to his brother. Now it goes on the outside with Ainscough. Kenny stand up, Denny Lima. The ball comes loose, and Newcastle make their second error for the match. Steve Berryman, the number 1 for New Zealand, able to dive on the loose ball at Billy Wupu. He is a big ball and still growing. New Zealand with it 30 metres out from their own line. Make that 35 metres out. So no mistakes coming from this Kiwi outfit. And with it now is Alan Wilson. Nice little step on the inside, back for Wupu. Second touch in this set of 6.
This would be a major upset in the tournament if New Zealand were able to overcome this Newcastle side. That Newcastle fancy their chances here, and they've got every right to. They've got a very well-balanced team out there, especially the talents of the Johns boys leading the way. The kick now from Tangata-Toa. Well taken there by Jamie Ainscough, so that's really just giving away possession.
Wasn't really the right option, was it? Now Newcastle have got the ball back. They desperately want possession now, and they have to maintain it.
And Darren Tracy looking to make up for an earlier missed tackle. Bumps his way away from Berryman. Berryman in the end did a good job to hang on. He was taken to ground with the attacking player, with Andrew Johns on the outside to Matthew Johns. Turned inside for Ainscough. He had the Johns brothers in support. He decided to go on the outside with Peden, then on for Grogan. Man on south is Albert. Grogan goes himself, got past one and up to halfway. And that's where play comes to a halt. Jason Duff, the tackler, a player who will be wearing the black and white colours in 96 with Western Suburbs. Andrew Johns across to Ainscough. All the way on the outside, Matthew Johns steps inside, almost away. Now he is away. Over the 30-metre line, Newcastle will have their first try, and it's Matthew Johns who does the damage. Good try to the Newcastle Knights.
We talk a lot about the skills of these Johns boys. The thing that probably doesn't get mentioned often enough is the strength they have. They're not big men, but they're very strong. See here, Johns able to spin out of the tackle. First time that the Novocastrians have been able to control possession within their first set of 6. Their try on the board, and the conversion attempt is successful.
Well, the Johns boys are crucial to Newcastle's chances in any competition that they play in, and they need to stay healthy for Newcastle to perform well.
I like the looks of their team too, Mario, because I think that you've got to have players like Billy Peden and Tracy as they finally get a mistake going their way. Good workers that are mobile and prepared to just eat up the hard yards when nothing presents itself.
Well, people think of sevens and they think of just fast, small players, but you get a big man with some skill and he can draw players as well.
Andrew Johns that time, a little man drawing a player, but the pass was behind the support. And cleaning up was Carlaw. 25 metres out from the line. Andrew Johns, short pass that time to Peden. He loses it. Knock on against Newcastle. Peden making the plea that it was raked out by a New Zealand player on the way through.
Yeah, so to Andrew Johns, who threw the ball. I think they had an argument.
So New Zealand, scrum feet on their 20-metre line. And Julie won with Berryman. In slow motion on to Ramika. And finished up with Alec Chan, 25 metres out from their own line. Time Ranika pushing it across field. They're getting a little sloppy now, New Zealand. 2 errors in the last couple of minutes, and certainly at the wrong end of the field. It's almost like they've got to about the 5-minute mark and they've just run out of puff. There's Newcastle on the attack from that scrum. Ainscough back in field to Johns, 25 metres out from the line. Over the top came Darren Ramika. One player on the left, the remainder on the right. Ainscough switched it inside. Now the ball with Peden. Marquette through the quick hands, then away. That's easy work. Newcastle come up with their second try, and the try scorer is John Carlaw. A real flyer on the flank for Newcastle. 10 points to 6 to the Knights.
We're just talking about the importance of players like Billy Peden. Just they're getting involved, able to brush through a tackle. The outside defender Berryman came in, and Aaron Albert. This is a try for the try to give Newcastle 12 points to 6 lead.
Well, they started off slow, Newcastle, but they look like they're, through the fact that New Zealand have made a number of mistakes, have come back into the game now and look like they're taking control.
They look very similar to Newcastle players, John Carlaw and Darren Albert, pushing for first-grade spots up there, and another mistake made.
Marcus Susu that time in the headgear, number 4 for New Zealand. And Newcastle, in the final 10 seconds of this first half, if they can get it in now quickly, they could come up with a try, even though they are inside their own territory. Well, that's the messiest scrum you'll see with only 6 men involved. New Zealand back with the ball. An untidy end to the first half. So we've seen one of the favourites, Newcastle, full-time 26-14, but I think they'll improve on that effort. The Knights over New Zealand, 26 points to 14.
A fairly impressive performance, though I think their coach Malcolm really will be looking for a more disciplined performance as they get closer to the finals.
Newcastle and Canada loomed as one of the day's biggest mismatches. From the kick-off, the Knights turned that prediction into a certainty.
Jamie Ainscough down the left wing. There's no one that can match him. Jamie Ainscough straight from the kick-off, a 70-metre run. Newcastle are off and running the clock.
90 seconds later, Newcastle touched the football for the second time, and the same result.
Eric Backhouse tried the high ball, the number 1 for Canada. And away go Newcastle again. Second touch of the ball, this time John Carlaw. The chase is coming, the Canadians, that is Andrew Love. Gallant attempt, but not quite good enough. Newcastle's second try, this time to John Carlaw, one of the flyers in the Knights' ranks. Look at that scoreline, 10 points to 0.
By comparison, the Knights had to work overtime for their third try. They were forced to pass the football. Brett Grogan making it 16-0.
Again, only one chaser, but this is a canter. Brett Grogan goes all the way, a 60-metre run, and Newcastle have their third try, and now...
Tries to Darren Albert and another to Ainscough blew the half-time score out to 28-0. From the opening blow of the second, the demolition simply continued.
Robbie O'Davis was there, and John Carlaw scores.
The Knights finished with 9 tries. Their 52-0 victory, a sevens record.
And Newcastle will finish the match off as they started with yet another try. Billy Peden, I don't think I had to call him throughout the match, and I don't know whether he even touched the ball, but he does run.
Welcome back to league headquarters, the Sydney Football Stadium, and back to our second quarter-final match, which sees very much a new-look Parramatta team taking on the Newcastle Knights. As we mentioned yesterday, in the Eels lineup, the 10 players they've named for this tournament, 7 new faces for 1996. While looking through the Newcastle side, so much strike power. The Johns boys do stand out, but a lot of balance in their team. At half-time, Parramatta side just have their nose in front, 14 points to 12. We go to Ray Warren now for the second half.
Andrew Johns then starts the second half of this second quarter final. And Dimmick contested the jump with young Albert. Dimmick wins it. Freeman from the first receiver position gets it out wide quickly. Russell tries to get on the outside. He's done that. He's got to the halfway, but his winger didn't come in quickly enough, Nathan Barnes, who's a dummy half now, and tries to go down that corridor on the blind side. Barnes now playing it a couple of metres into Newcastle's area. Second half with Parramatta in front by 2. They won their earlier matches coming into this in fairly tight contests. They've only scored 5 tries in total compared with Newcastle's 14 tries. And here is Barnes having his legs taken from under him by Andrew Johns. Out from dummy half comes Russell, a grubbing kick through. Johns has got it covered. Good clean-up work by Andrew, Australia's latest hooker. Now it's across for Marquette, and he tries to barge his way through. But the referee, I think, has spotted a high tackle. It'll be on Campbell, the Parramatta player. Watch it here on the replay. Took him straight across the mouth.
This is a crucial set of 6 for Newcastle. They have to make sure that they maintain possession, advance the ball, and then look to the Johns boys for a little bit of variety and a bit of spark in attack. There's a long way to go in this game, and this next set of 6 is very important for Newcastle.
Bill Peden, who scored a try for Newcastle, is tackled now. 5 metres into Parramatta's area on the far side of the ground. Through Ainscough and then for Matthew Johns to find O'Davis, and then for Albert. He steps inside and away from Woods, but is driven by Matthew Spence. Good tackle. A real rugby league tackle, that one. Now Johns loses it, bamboozles himself. What he has done is attracted plenty of defence. It was a good time to unload. He couldn't get it away. Albert is the dummy half now, also a try scorer. O'Davis finding Ainscough. Ainscough playing a lot closer today than he did yesterday. Now just outside the 30-metre line. It's come from Peden into the hands of O'Davis. Puts on a sprint for Johns, knocked down by Parramatta, and it's back with Newcastle. It should be the restart of the tackle count. It is.
Well, that's a bonus for Newcastle. 6 more tackles. The pressure goes on Parramatta now.
Peden lets a decoy go, finds Ainscough. Parramatta's defence is good. It's umbrellaing Newcastle back into the centre. Albert is just inside the 20-metre line. Parramatta leads by 2, 4 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock as John shows it to the blind side, then finds O'Davis. O'Davis is held and flung to the ground by McCracken. 12 metres out from the Parramatta line. It's away for Ainscough now. He gets a decoy inside, then holds it back, and Grogan will go in and score. Just a hint of a forward pass, but the referee was immediately adjacent to it.
Well, Ray, the extra 6 tackles, it's basically impossible to hold a team out with 2 sets of 6. And Parramatta's defence is really struggling there, and lovely try to Grogan there.
So we've got what, 18-14 Newcastle over the Eels. That long between drinks for the Eels. Dimmick with a round the corner pass. David Woods is on his way for the corner. They've got him, and he turns the ball inside for O'Davis to come out of the end goal. Step around Dimmick, head to the 20-metre line. He's away from Campbell. He's to the 40-metre line. In the centre is Billy Peden. Not him again. Now O'Davis is over the 40. The lofted pass will bounce up for Johns. This is Andrew Johns. Albert goes with him on the right. Over on his left is Ainscough, the speed machine. He's with it now, but he's put down 12 metres out from the Parramatta line.
Great passage of play. That's what Sevens football is all about. That's what the people have come to see, and they're stretched over on the right, Parramatta.
So the Johns brother Andrew finds Matthew with a long pass. He beats Russell. He stood him up. Billy Peden was wary. Probably would have been best not to be. They needed somebody with light feet. There was a gap a mile wide. O'Davis puts on the fancy pass. Matthew Johns lofts it across for Grogan. Albert is with him. Grogan looks for him. He gets it down. Oh, he's done it with a back somersault with a bit of an assistance.
Yeah, great work, Grogan. He put the ball over his head, but that was a great passage of play from Newcastle's own try line, and great to watch. Great ball movement, long pass across field. Grogan too quick on his feet. Over the back of his head, yes, fair try.
7.5, 8.5 from the judges. But he did get a bit of help here from Matthew Spence. He actually scored the try for for Newcastle, Matthew. And so the Novocastrians lead 22-14. The kick is to come off the boot of Andrew Johns and not coming around quickly enough. So troubles for the Eels now, Gary. 1:24 on the clock.
Well, I knew that if Newcastle could hold the ball, they'd be a big chance of, as Mario said yesterday, you got the footy, you're a chance of scoring. And they've done just that. They have controlled it really well, Newcastle, and Parramatta struggling. I don't think there's enough time left on the clock for them to win from here.
Jim Dimmick it is, finding McCracken. He knocks on. So this will take up time. Newcastle will have the feed, and that's as good as the ball game. Newcastle will come up with possession. They lead by a comfortable 8 points after a tremendous contest here in the second quarter final.
Well, this Parramatta side showed their supporters that this season is going to be an interesting one, and I'm sure that they'll win more games than they lose. They've got so many great players like Dimmick, and Freeman's going to be driving them. A good season for Parramatta coming up.
There'll be no place for blokes that want to go hiding, Mario.
There's never been a place for people that hide in the game, is there?
I don't think so, but it'll be more to the fore this year than ever with Parramatta, let me tell you. Marquette now picking up Andrew Johns, and Spencer's got him. And Andrew almost volunteered to be tackled there.
Well, they've just done enough, Newcastle. They made a number of mistakes early, and that's what got them in trouble through their organising players, the Johns boys, and a great try by Bill Peden.
So Campbell makes the tackle on Grogan. The siren in the background, and Newcastle defeat Parramatta. They've come from behind at the break to win 22-14 in quarterfinal number 2.
Many people believe that Newcastle can win this tournament, and they take one step closer with that victory over Parramatta, 22-14.
We'll take a break. In this semi-final, they'd need more than Tim Brasher to keep a cool head. But in giving away a penalty on their second touch of the football, the Tigers let themselves down and the Knights in.
Newcastle go on. You've got to stick with the referee.
There's probably no greater sin in sevens football than to give away possession through a penalty when you have got the football.
Wider out now, standing. Pass not offloaded that time. 15 metres out from the Tigers' line. As Peden went blind, back for Matthew Johns. Now his brother Andrew. Andrew calls Ainscough inside. The defence stands firm. Some nice handiwork again from Matthew Johns, back for Ainscough. Well, there are three superstars as far as Newcastle are concerned. The two Johns brothers and Jamie Ainscough.
But the whole thing about sevens football is keeping bodies in motion. And Jamie Ainscough does a great job here. Gets the football there, passes the ball, doubles round, finds himself in some space, accelerates and goes straight through to get the opening points in this game. But this is just enthusiasm and putting yourself in a position where you can get the football, and Ainscough has done that very well over the last day and a half.
To come right in front, Matthew Johns it is. He's kicked 7 from 9 for the tournament. His brother Andrew 4 from 5. He can make it 8 from 10 now for Matthew Johns. 6-0.
When they've needed magic this tournament, the Tigers have turned to Wes Patton. But for all his sevens heroics, it took just one pass to turn villain.
Wes Patton, first touch for him from dummy half. A loose ball from Patton on the last quick turnover. Newcastle's away. All the way over halfway, Robbie O'Davis. The chase is coming. They're going to go all the way to the line. The desperate dive, but Robbie O'Davis, I don't know about the dive in the semi. Maybe after the final when you lead by 20. It was a big one from Robbie O'Davis. He loves scoring it, but I would have hated to see him drop it.
Well, he's a pretty fit player, isn't he, Robbie O'Davis? You'd think after running that far, enough energy to put yourself 8 feet in the air, but Robbie O'Davis taking advantage of a loose pass from Wes Patton on the last tackle. You've got to give credit for this chase as well. He was never going to get there. But a great chase from Darren Centre. Robbie O'Davis, fairly spectacular finish.
There he goes, off the platform. Now.
Nothing was going the Tigers' way, but Newcastle did its best to help them in the final seconds of the first half.
With Darren Albert.
Well, Newcastle done a great job. They lead by 12 points, but their defence has been outstanding as the half-time siren goes. Might just look to kill this.
Matthew Johns, he decides not. And now they've lost the ball. They probably wish they had a chance for the Tigers on the stroke of half-time. Here's Brasher. McPherson on the outside. He ran inside. Forward pass, then away. The play breaks down. 5 and still on for the Tigers. They crawl their way over the line. No. But what a finish to the first half.
Down 12-0 at half-time, the Tigers had to score first, and Patton was keen to make amends.
And Centre was able to cut it up over halfway. Patton tries something himself. Well, he's through the line with a kick. The bounce is needed. It wobbles sideways. Patton still in front. Patton for the corner, gets it. It popped up off the heels of the Newcastle player, would you believe? Wes Patton can do anything. Let me take him to the casino with me. He'll get 10 blackjacks in a row. Wes Patton, the try scorer.
There was a good foot race there between Robbie O'Davis and Wes Patton, and they needed some inspiration. They've gotten it from Patton so often, and it's happened again in this semi-final. Didn't get the kind of bounce he wanted, neither did Robbie O'Davis. But in the end, the ball popped up nicely for the little halfback.
But Newcastle hit back immediately. Brett Grogan's fend putting more than a dent in the Tigers' final aspirations.
Johns across to Matthew Johns, now for Grogan. Grogan with a fend, a good one. Away he goes. Grogan's beaten two. He's left them clutching. Milford was the first one, Patterson was the second, and Grogan scores for Newcastle. That could be the key try.
Yes, the first fend was a good one. The second one was even better. And Grogan not much space to work in. Good, strong left-hand fend. Tim Patterson, the last defender to miss. And that should just about wrap up this semi-final. John's boys have played great. Jamie Ainscough, for mine, has been their best player. And as we pointed out so often, they're a well-balanced team. Grogan, one of their better attacking players, as the conversion attempt. Fairly wayward, but it's a 16-4 lead for Newcastle. That should be enough with under 5 minutes to go.
Newcastle, the Sevens champions from 1991. At the time, it was their first title. This is Shane Walker for the Tigers. And now they go forward with Brasher at great pace. Brasher floats the pass out. This should be one for the corner. Langaloa, the fastest man in the club, he scores in the corner. The Tigers fans are up and jumping. In fact, the whole grandstand is shaking as Blocker got up and did a little jig.
Down 16-8, a lower Milford spill should have spelt the end. But in the final 90 seconds, the Tigers found new life.
Hudson Smith, dummy half, 15 out. Well, one man left posted out on the right side. Langaloa, let's see a match race to the corner. Straight around Albert. James Langaloa, Fijian, joined the Tigers last year. He grabs a try. And the Tigers, well, time has run out as far as they're concerned, unless Newcastle have a brain explosion from the restart. It's 16-12. This for 16-14. Here was the try. Langaloa around the outside of Albert. Good little two-step and then wide for the try.
The conversion attempt was a good one, so within two now, the Tigers. So they must force a mistake from this play.
Robbie O'Davis with it, dummy, no passing. Shane Walker makes the tackle. 5 seconds, last play of the match right here. Towed through and penalised Shane Walker. So that puts an end to it. No case to argue now for Shane Walker. The decision is made. And Newcastle, they take the quick tap. Walker's offside. They decide to kick over the top. Well, what has happened? Ainscough kicks it back. Brasher picks up the ball. Now the Tigers with a chance. Where's Patton? He stands, throws it back to Patterson. Patterson has Laloa Milford. 80 metres to cover. Milford down the left flank. Can't get round the man and into the touch. Could you believe Jamie Ainscough doing that?
Well, that was the brain explosion you were talking about. I thought he'd been their best, but ridiculous play there. The Knights have still got through, 16 points to 14, the first team through to the Cup final for 96. Although Newcastle looked to be in control for most of the match, only the 2-point margin there over the Sydney Tigers, 16 points to 14. The Knights through, the first team through to this year's final.
On cue, North Sydney coming down now behind Jason Taylor, who booted them to a clear victory over Manly on full time. Was the big win. Michael Buettner, one of the new faces in the North Sydney lineup. Sears, Dallas, Buettner, Icon, Erinavula, Reba, Taylor, Fairley, Williams and Larson. Peter Louis is the coach as Newcastle come on out now. Favourites to take it out. They won what was known as the Nissan Sevens back in 1991 in front of a record crowd of nearly 30,000 that year. And O'Davis, the Johns brothers, Ainscough, Carlaw, you won't see him. Albert, Grogan, Peden, Tracy and Marquette. In fact, earlier in the tournament, Carlaw became indisposed. Thus, they've been doing it with 9 men, the Newcastle Knights. And likewise, North Sydney, they've been reduced to a team of 9 as well, with their #1 player, Matt Sears, becoming injured. Eddie Ward is the man in charge. Comment from the sideline from Gary Belcher.
Ray, the crowd are absolutely fired up. It's been a long, long day for them. Plenty of football since just after lunch. They are waiting for a big game, and we need some action out here just to settle the crowd down a little bit.
Well, there's the time on. In the final, it's 10 minutes each way, and Newcastle go for the recovery from the kickoff, but Reba is alert for North Sydney, and they come up with it on their own 30-metre line. Gary Larson has been strong for the Bears right through the 2 days. At Parramatta yesterday, at the SFS today, as Fairley now takes the play up towards halfway, gets a call from Reba, and Larson is there. Taylor is in support, but Larson goes himself down to the 30-metre line. North Sydney then with a big back line off to the left, but Taylor goes back to the right of the ground. Young Ben Eichen is in #4 jumper for North Sydney. He has been brilliant. Larson is with it now. He grubber kicks. It came off Newcastle. It's play on. Larson dives for it. So too does Matthew Johns. It comes down for Newcastle. And put away there is their #9, and that is Tracy.
And that's the thing you've got to do when you play this Newcastle side, is match them physically. Gary Larson in for a big game. Already made a long break. And there's the penalty there for hanging on for Jason Taylor on the Darren Tracy.
Matthew Johns then reaches the 40-metre line. Newcastle in their 4 games have defeated Canada, New Zealand, Parramatta and the Tigers in a close-fought semi-final. Now they cross the halfway line through Andrew Johns, and they pick up Jamie Ansco. He's been their main strike weapon out wider. This is Grogan. Grogan looking for an opening.
Danny Williams has taken the field for North Sydney, and what you'll find that North have done throughout this tournament is get Jason Taylor off the ground when the team does not have the football. A dummy thrown there, straight through.
Matthew Johns strolling the last 20 metres. No fullback, of course, in sevens, no sweeper. And once you've cracked that line, the job has been done.
The most dangerous man on the football field is the one who's got the ball in his hands. And Gary Larson just a little bit lazy on the inside. The dummy taken. Larson's head went back. He knew that he'd made a mistake. Great start for the Newcastle side.
And Peter, how much do you think Andrew Johns is going to benefit from the Kangaroo Tour, the World Cup last season? Looks like a lot more confident player already.
I think Newcastle are in pretty good shape there all around. Like the fact they had so many players over there.
So 6-0 in favour of Newcastle. His team strive to score as close to the post as they can. Brett Dallas, one of the big off-season purchases for the Bears. Now Michael Buettner, another that fits into that variety. Centre of the ground, 30 metres out. The Bears, their turn now to strike back. Taylor, the general, using Dallas. And Brett Dallas is 25 away from the Newcastle line. Long pass, finding Buettner. The run around for Fairley, who dummies back to Buettner. Then he tries to find somebody on his inside. But Jason Taylor was getting ready for the next play. 5 gone. Taylor away now from Larson. A good heavy tackle. And Newcastle have come up with it. Over on the far side is young Darren Albert.
Well, we've got the touch judge in now. And a penalty going for the Newcastle player, pushing the North Sydney player, Brett Dallas, away from the football. A quick tap taken by Danny Williams. He nearly goes straight through, looks for support. So a good chance here for North Sydney. Dallas out of dummy half himself, almost gets to the line. Albert comes up with a try saver.
Danny Williams tempted to go himself, but passes when he hears the call from Taylor. Taylor through to Larson. Larson goes straight, flicks it out the back. Taylor's there to support. Fairley does well. Fairley now has 8 metres to go. Buettner's got 3 metres to go, and he'll score. Michael Buettner levels it up as far as tries are concerned. 6-4, kick to come, and Taylor has been hot with the boot.
That amount of possession, you must score in sevens football. And David Fairley, who's come up with some big plays for North Sydney over the last 2 days, took a great ball there from Taylor. It wasn't an easy catch. And Michael Buettner, a little bit of a chance going back inside Robbie O'Davis. And as Ray's pointed out, very important for the players to be conscious of the conversion attempt, and that just makes it a little bit easier for Jason Taylor.
Yeah, a little bit of experience come out in David Fairley there. A beautiful pass. He was cool under pressure, over the top there, like Gene Miles used to do. A beautiful pass from him.
So as the scoreboard indicates, Taylor converted. As Newcastle come back, Taylor has now kicked 15 from a total of 18 attempts. It's with Andrew Johns. He dummies and then uses his brother, who steps, almost sidestepping in midair. Back to his brother, and there's another try for the Johns boys. Well, are they just a class act?
And they're great to watch, aren't they? Their ability to keep the ball alive. They're very strong players. We've said it a couple of times through the tournament. That's an underrated quality that they possess. Brilliant footwork, attracting two defenders, keeping the arm free. In the end, the dummy was taken by the North Sydney defence, but there was just too many numbers there for them to stop the try anyway.
Yes, it was Gary Larson probably overreading the play a little bit. You can't really blame him. And there's Andrew Johns going right under the post. Here's Gary Larson taking the first pass off the ruck.
We've got 12 points to 6 in favour of Newcastle. And 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the first half. They are 10-minute halves in the final, having been sevens to this point in time.
And sevens football is won by good defence. Both of these teams are very capable of scoring points. The secret to winning tournaments is stopping points. Obviously,
Taylor is 33 out as we take a comment from Gary Belcher on the sideline.
Yeah, Ray, I'm a little bit bewildered why they do play 10-minute halves in the final when it's 7 minutes all the way. But bearing that in mind, both coaches well aware that their players are going to tire. Plenty of action on the sideline here. Lots of replacements. As soon as players look like they're half tired, they're whipped straight off by the coach.
So it's Taylor giving the pass. It's been put down by Aaron Avula. And Ainscough comes away for Newcastle and using Paul Marquette up the centre. Ainscough back in the play, not expecting it. And now it's Robbie O'Davis, and O'Davis puts on a sprint. He has his legs chopped from under him on the halfway. Gary just double-checking. They're both playing with 9, is that right?
Yeah, they are. Matt Sears is missing from the North Sydney side, and John Carlaw couldn't make it through to the finals for Newcastle.
O'Davis plays it, and Tracy, a dummy half, uses Andrew Johns, who dummies to Marquette, and gets a pass out the back as Ben Eichen put his best shot on him. It's with Matthew now. He dummies to his brother Andrew. He is put away from behind with a heavy tackle. Both Johns brothers are on the deck at the moment. This is Reba for North Sydney.
well, he is human, Matt Johns. Just not enough ball security there. Pretty strong tackles. Jason Taylor tries to create something, finds Aaron Avula back on the inside. Some good interplay here involving Brett Dallas, and they come back to where the support players are. Dallas unable to break the tackle, 45 out from his own line.
So 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. Newcastle by 6 points. A converted try as Taylor goes across for Eichen. Then Michael Buechner, he channels back in. Aaron Avula is on his way and they won't catch him. Will he go around and make it an easier conversion? He did take it around just a little bit. But Aaron Avula scores for the Bears, 12-10.
Again, some good interplay there involving plenty of players. It was actually the previous play that set up this try. Michael Buechner heading back infield, did a great job to find Aaron Avula. Paul Marquette doing his best. Big back rower up against a winger was always going to be put to the test, and Aaron Avula gets close to the post, and Jason Taylor again a sharpshooter.
16 from 19 in the tournament for Taylor. 12 all in the cup final. This is going right down to the wire, this final. We've had some runaway victories, but these two sides, it's very much like a game of tennis. One of them is hoping to break serve. This is with Matthew Johns and now Andrew. He got a decoy run from Grogan before using Tracy. And they're 35 out now on the members' side of the ground.
Excellent defence there from Reba and Michael Buechner, not falling for the change in direction. That's a forward pass. It's been called play on, and Jamie Ainscough takes advantage. It really looked forward, that one. Ainscough in no hurry to put the ball down.
Well, that's a terrible judgment because it was blatantly forward, and there are touch judges out there, 2 of them in fact, to help Eddie Ward. It was over a metre forward.
A timely try there from Jamie Ainscough from Newcastle. Only 46 seconds left on the clock, and that's a definite forward pass there. the North Sydney players all stopping. They only have to break the line once. No room for cover defence. And there's Ainscough putting down the ball.
The conversion attempt only just taken now. They really wound the clock down, the Newcastle side. Under 30 seconds to go in this first half. So North Sydney will probably get 2 or 3 plays in before the break. They would love to put some points on.
Just on that matter of the touch judges having a say in matters like that, is Fairley gets a good ball from Larson. The ball has been knocked down. Who did knock it down, though? It was Newcastle, of course, and that's backwards. Now it's young Albert. He's starting to extend over the halfway. Taylor's chasing, but he hasn't got the speed. And young Albert, he's had a good tournament. He runs 70 metres to score the try under the bar.
Well, luck's a fortune in sevens football. David Fairley looked as though he might have got across the line. Looked for support. See how this pass... No, it was just a good tackle from behind. And straight away, Andrew Johns realised there was an opportunity on the outside. Young Darren Albert. Too much speed for Jason Taylor. And that's a very big play on the stroke of half-time.
The try is converted, and Newcastle has now put a gap in it. 24-12 as we break and come back with more shortly. Stadium, 24-12, Newcastle leading over North Sydney. It was very much a case of blow for blow here until a forward pass went unchecked for Newcastle. And it has swung the balance very much their way, and a 12-point advantage. As Eddie Ward blows time on for the second half. Just pointing out that the touch judges and referees are not wired for sound, so that call very much is with the centre man. This was the pass we're referring to.
And really a turning point in this game, and one that should have been detected by the referee. Ainscough grabbed a 6-pointer and put on another one right on the stroke of half-time, and all of a sudden things have got away from North Sydney. As Newcastle win the scrum, Ainscough getting outside Michael Buechner and might have the pace to go all the way. Here's Dallas coming from behind.
Aiken is chasing, and Dallas might round him up. He has, in fact, but he's been able to slither free of the tackle, and Ainscough caps a magnificent tournament. Many have thought him to be the player of the series.
I'm one of those people, Ray, thought Jason Taylor might have grabbed that mantle if his side had been successful, but Ainscough's been marvellous once again. Got plenty of speed. Brett Dallas, one of the quickest players in the league. Looked like he'd grabbed him. He pushed through. Good leg drive from Ainscough. The one-handed put down. That's his second for the match.
Yeah, and talk about the speed. Also still carrying the football, looking for support. Brett Dallas. Great effort from him. But Ainscough, so strong, pushes off. Full marks to Ben Aiken too. A big chase from him.
Yeah, I can't agree with a good effort from Brett Dallas. He did well to get there, as the conversion attempt was again a beautiful one. Dallas really should have made the tackle. 30-12. Carrying a little bit of an embarrassment for North Sydney. They do have the football now 40 metres out from Novo Castrian's line.
Not only do North Sydney have to play well in the remaining 8 1/4 minutes, they've got to hope for Newcastle to make mistakes as Fairley turns it inside. Taylor had a chance.
Well, it's been unfortunate for North Sydney. If you remember back to the first half when Fairley was away and the lost ball, Newcastle scored straight away from there. And another good break there from Fairley. The inside ball, Taylor couldn't handle.
40 metres out from their own line now. Sideline comment from Gary Belcher.
It was Peter Louis wasn't too happy at half-time with his side. He told him to play it very simple in the second half and take it forward with the big fellas, Fairley and Larson. Maybe the little guys out of dummy half, but I guess it's getting to the stage when they get it back. They might have to start taking a few more risks. 18 points behind, and Newcastle looking very strong.
Very much a case of throwing caution to the wind now for North Sydney. This is Billy Peden. Peden's 35 metres out from the line. 5 tackles are gone.
It's fairly obvious that North Sydney have to be the next scorer if they are to be any chance in this game. Johns puts the ball through. Ben Aiken going back. It'll be too long. Really all Newcastle need to do now is control the game when they've got the ball, make sure they work through their 6 in possession, and be very strong in defence. And straight away we see Paul Marquette running out onto the field to bolster that defence.
Gary Larson, 28 metres out from his own line. Danny Williams is put down heavily. Marquette over the top of the Grogan tackle. Now Michael Buettner. Norths have got to take risks. Taylor finding Dallas. He tries to split through. Albert made the tackle, but he let the tackle player up first. Ainsko goes back to clean up, and Dallas cleans him up. Back on the 10-metre line.
And just relentless in defence, this Newcastle side. They even hurt you in the 7-a-side game. As I said earlier, you've got to match it with them physically. North Sydney just haven't been able to do that.
5 tries, 5 goals for Newcastle. 2 tries, 2 goals for North. The goal kicking has been excellent. Newcastle, the more polished of the two sides. They did have that lucky break in the first half, but the scoreboard has outweighed that now substantially as Peden plays it and Ainsko folds in before using Matthew Johns, and a flick out the back. There's nothing they can't do, and racing away is Tracy. Darren Tracy will score. They soak up time. 5 minutes, 20 on the clock.
We talked about the balance in this Newcastle side. Plenty of speed, some big men like Darren Tracy, and then the skill factor of the Johns boys. Beautiful to watch that. Matthew Johns, the one-handed flick pass, that is not an easy thing to do. That takes hours and hours of practice, and plenty of natural ability as well. Darren Tracy taking his time before planting the ball under the posts.
Only any dispute about the score here at the Sydney Football Stadium as it was at the cricket. They won't be close enough. This is becoming embarrassing now. 36-12. As Taylor now finds Aaron Avula, and now Buettner. Buettner's into a hole inside the 20. The support comes from Williams, and Williams plants it over for the Bears' try.
Some good work there from Michael Buettner. Some new acquisition from the Parramatta club, of course. Looks as though he's going to start the season off in pretty good form, slicing through. Good pass over the top to Danny Williams. And still there, Paul Marquette, a front rower, trying to stop the try right on the line. Wasn't able to do so.
36-18, 3:55 on the clock. Staying at the Sydney Football Stadium for the presentation of this year's Coca-Cola World Sevens Trophy. Unbelievable speed. It's a great backstop in the Newcastle forward line. Here he goes again, that man Ainsko. Arguably the most improved footballer in Sydney Rugby League, Australian Rugby League, is this boy.
I don't think there's ever been any doubt of his ability, and he's just taking advantage of the skill level around him. Lovely little step there. That's his third for the final, third try.
6 for the tournament.
He's having a great afternoon. Brett Grogan did the hard work, attracting a couple of defenders, and then the step to beat David Fairley and improve the position. They are going to be very, very tough to beat in whatever competition is going on in the 96 season, especially when you consider that Lee Jackson, the great English hooker, will be joining them. Very strong lineup.
Conversion was successful, 42 points to 18. Newcastle. They've conquered the mountain, and now they're coming down the other side. Buettner with a chip and chase. Will he get the bounce? He doesn't look for the bounce. He might make the race. It beats him to the dead ball line. 42-18, 1:59 on the clock.
Some good individual work there from Michael Buettner. He just didn't get the bounce, and that's been the kind of final it's been for the Bears. Up to 12 all and then lost the plot. Michael Buettner, the disappointment and frustration showing on his face there as we go in to the final 2 minutes of this cup decider. Young Matthew Johns, right footstep, picks him up an easy 10 metres. His brother slots into dummy half. Marquette puts his hand up to take the ball forward.
This is the hard-working Paul Marquette.
We were talking earlier about improved players. What about Marquette?
Bust made by Andrew Johns. Shape to pass. Stepped off his left foot. Sprinted through the gap. And the Australian hooker scores and does a little bit of a one-step, two-step there. Smile is on the face. They know the job is done. 46-18.
You'll see the number 9 on his back too often this season. I don't think you'll see the number 3 on his back. The left foot step. The difficult thing about marking players like Matthew and Andrew Johns is that they have so many options around them. They hold the ball out in front, and straight away that puts a defender back on his heels. They've got good speed. He's having a good time out there, Andrew.
Fairly using Taylor. Back for Williams to juggle and put down. And Eddie Ward will put a scrum down. Yeah, the Sevens has given us a sneak preview of things to come, and of course I'm no more privy to information than you are, but we've seen enough here to suggest that eastern suburbs, Newcastle, North Sydney, and of course Manly are going to have some great combats through 1996. Let's hope that it's all resolved, and that they all come together as the siren sounds, and these players come together to congratulate one another.
And the Tigers.
48-18 is the score.
And the Tigers.
I'm sorry. 48-18 in the cup final. Anticlimactic. I know that from 12 all, it just became all downhill for Newcastle. Put the hex on him again, Sterlo. I said this will go right down to the wire at 12 all.
Yes,
that
right.
was it.
You could stop a train. We've seen that before. $80,000 heading to Newcastle. I guess the players will get a pretty good...
Gary Belcher's down in that huddle. Let's see if he's got one of the players with him. I'm sure he has.
Well, I have the $1,000 Coca-Cola Man of the Series, Andrew Johns, with me. Not a bad afternoon work for the Newcastle boys. But, yeah, we come down here and we... last year I think we come 4th or something, so I thought we had the side to win it. And I think our defence got it. You know, we're down out a couple of times, and you know, the blokes who probably don't get a mention, guys like Billy Puden and Paul Marquette, you know, the other local foundations, these wins. Well, you've got a couple of very good young fellas coming through, haven't you? Darren Albert and John Carlo. The side looks really good for 96. I suppose you're looking forward to it.
Well, we've been, a lot of people are bad, about our outside backs, but yeah, Johnny Carlo, he got injured on the second game or something. He scored 5 or 6 tries, and Darren Albert went the length of field the other day. So, you know, I think you see the same sort of football as us from last year, but maybe a few more tries out in the flanks.
Well done again, and congratulations. Get back to your teammates. Good on you, Andrew.
Gary Belcher down there on the sideline with Andrew Johns. We'll break and come back for the presentation in just a moment. 48-18 to the Newcastle Knights.
An easy victory for Newcastle as we welcome you back to the Sydney Football Stadium. The Knights defeating North Sydney 48 points to 18 in the final. A mixture of great running football and some strong defence has seen the Knights prove to be the best side over the last 2 days. We now go down to the presentation area and Brad Levy, and he will give the cheque for $80,000 to the Newcastle side.
Ladies and gentlemen, 24 teams competed in the 1996 Coca-Cola World Sevens, and this afternoon it came down to just 2, with the Newcastle Knights victorious over the North Sydney Bears by 48 points to 18. Would you like to join with me in congratulating both sides on a wonderful display of Sevens Rugby League? Joining me on stage to make the presentations, the Executive Chairman of the Australian Rugby League, Mr. Ken Arthurson, Mr. Jim Van Brunessen, Sales Manager, Coca-Cola Amatil New South Wales, and Tournament Director of the Coca-Cola World Sevens, Mr. Colin Love. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ken Arthurson.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Sue. Ladies and gentlemen, I should just like, on behalf of the Australian Rugby League, to thank all of the fans for attending this year's Coca-Cola World Sevens tournament. And despite all the difficulties that we had in getting this tournament together, I think it's been one of the most competitive we've had in many a long day. I'd like to also congratulate Newcastle. I thought they were absolutely magnificent. And they were certainly worthy winners of the competition. But let's spare a thought for North Sydney. They played brilliantly throughout, and to run second in this tournament is a particularly good effort, and I do congratulate them as well. I'd like also to congratulate the other winners at St George in winning one trophy, and the Gold Coast in winning the plate. And I've got two important announcements I would like to make. That today the Australian Rugby League has announced, and I'd like the international players to take this back with them, because we do appreciate their efforts here this year. Australia will be inviting Fiji out here for a test match during the season. We'll also be playing 2 test matches against New Zealand, and Australia will be playing a game which we're billed as the World Champions, which is Australia, will be playing a match against a team comprising players from the rest of the world. The other important announcement I'd like to make, and it's very much to do with this tournament, it's my very great pleasure and privilege to announce that the player of the Sevens tournament, the most valuable player in the Sevens tournament this season, is from Newcastle, Andrew Johns. Well, there's brotherly love. He was going to take it for you. It's only 1,000.
First of all, I'd like to thank Coca-Cola for their sponsorship of this tournament. I think every player will vouch it's a good start of the season, a lot of fun, and the competition's there. And last year we were unlucky, we got beat by Manly in the semi, but this year we're lucky enough to win it. And thanks to North Sydney for the great game, and I'm sure we'll meet them during the competition. Well, we will meet them in the competition, and it's great playing against them. And thanks to all the boys, Stockland, sponsor, and all their supporters who come down today. Thank you.
1995 was a good year for Newcastle. 1996 even promises greater things. There's the trophy that the Knights will take back to Newcastle with them, and that brings to an end our first coverage of rugby league for 1996. There'll be plenty more coming in the coming months. For now, on behalf of the entire wide World of Sports Rugby League team from the Sydney Football Stadium, it's bye for now.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sport.